Hi, Dovann here. Welcome to another special episode of Week at a Glance. Today we have a very special guest all the way from Zimbabwe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are watching this episode right now, and also, of course, to Tatenda, our special guest for today. I'm so glad to have you here today, Tatenda. And to our viewers, Tatenda is a husband, a father, and also a pastor, and the list goes on. Now, Tatenda, let's talk about your ministry, Lesson in 5. But first, tell us about yourself and then the origin story of your channel.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Tatenda Machamire. My last name is Machamire. Hi Kyo, thank you so much for inviting me to Week at a Glance and to share with your viewers about my channel. Really excited to be here, really excited to meet everybody who's going to be coming through. My name, like I've said, is Tatenda Machamire. I'm a pastor, I'm a husband, and I've got one daughter and there's a second child on the way. So really excited about those responsibilities. My hobbies, some of the things that I enjoy doing, I enjoy hiking, enjoy being outdoors, traveling. Also really enjoy working on the digital space. So enjoy a lot of tech kind of things, enjoy photography, not a very good photographer, but it's one of my hobbies and I enjoy doing that. Because I enjoy doing all these things, it kind of influenced my decision to go into digital ministry. So I'd been thinking about this for some time, that I really need to use the little limited abilities I've got and share the love of Jesus online. When I was thinking about how to do that, had several projects that were in my mind. Then one time I really enjoyed one of the Sabbath school lessons that we had studied. So I thought, well, let me post something about this Sabbath school lesson. I posted a video on the Sabbath school lesson, and the video was really well received. We had close to 1,000 views on the video, a whole lot of comments, and I thought, well, maybe I should do this more. So the decision came that let me do this and let me go into this kind of ministry. So started doing Sabbath school. The second thing that was on my mind is, well, Sabbath school is really important in terms of making disciples. And I'm really excited about making disciples for Jesus. After all, that's part of the Great Commission. So I decided to make disciples for Christ, and Sabbath school was where I decided to start.
And yes, I totally agree with you that the Sabbath school lessons that we have, or this Bible study guide, is very important to the disciple making process. Now let's talk about the name of your ministry. You see, naming or branding of a segment or a channel actually takes time. It takes so much brainstorming. Now, how did you come up with the name Lesson in 5?
Well, that's a really good question. How did I come up with the name Lesson in 5? Well, once I decided that I was going to do Sabbath school, I started reading through the lesson, quickly noticed, well, there's 5 days. That means there's 5 points. Then started thinking, well, what I need to produce should be short. Because a lot of the content that was on YouTube at the time was rather long Sabbath school lessons. So I thought, well, let me summarize the Sabbath school lesson. And I went through it, decided to summarize it in 5 minutes. So thought about it, 5 minutes, 5 points. Also had a conversation with my wife, thought about, well, what name should we settle on? And after a few conversations, we settled on the name Lesson in 5. And then we started producing videos because we had 5 points and it was in 5 minutes. So that's how we came up with the name. And yeah, that's...
Wow, that's really interesting. 5 points, 5 minutes. And aside from that one, you also consulted your wife to decide on the name of the ministry. Now, I would like to personally know how your style has evolved through the months and also through your experience of doing Lesson in 5.
Well, my experience has been very interesting. From the time I started, I've been able to improve a little bit on quality. The video started off kind of terrible, but with time, learned how to do videos a little better. Also learned how to edit a little better, and I'm still learning and trying to improve every day. The other thing that I have done with time is you learn to refine the process a little better. So how you study the lesson, how you arrive at the points becomes more efficient and becomes more concrete in your mind as time goes on. So yeah, those are the main changes that I think have happened over time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else apart from the editing that has changed and maybe a little of my process. I think most of the videos have probably remained around the same, although one thing I have changed is not trying to be too strict about the 5 minutes. Sometimes I go a little bit over, sometimes it's a little under. So I've been a little more forgiving of myself around timeline.
Yes, but on average, your videos are still around that 5 minute mark. Although it goes a little bit like 3 or 4 minutes, and on some other videos it goes like 7 or 8 minutes. But the average is still around the 5 minute mark. So, making videos online can sometimes be very lonely. Viewers don't get to see that part because normally they only see the presentation that we make and also the videos that we publish online. So most small YouTube ministries are actually a one-man crew. Now, Tatenda, what drives you each week to study the Bible study guide or the Sabbath school lesson weeks in advance and to record it? And by the way, who presses your record button?
Well, what drives me to keep going? That's also a really good question. It's not always easy to keep going, but I guess the words of Paul are ringing in my mind right now. The love of Christ compels me. So thinking that I must be in ministry for Christ, and also the feedback that I get from people. Some people comment right on YouTube, but not everybody does. But when you meet someone who tells you how much the lesson has helped them, and I think about that all the time, and that motivates me to keep going. So as people give me feedback to say, you know what, this ministry is really a blessing to us, I think about those people and how many people it's reaching for the sake of Christ, and I think, well, let me keep posting, let me keep on recording. And like you say, it's quite a lonely road because you are posting these videos and it's a small channel, it's really not growing very quickly, so it can be a lonely process. It can also, sometimes it's a one-man crew. Very often I end up pressing the record button, at least most times when I'm at home, because I can have the camera set up, don't change anything and just press record. Sometimes when I need a little help, my wife is always there to help, making sure everything is okay. So sometimes it's me and my wife, sometimes it's just me, myself, and I.
Well, Tatenda, I'm very happy to know that your wife is also involved in this ministry. Tatenda, the world that we live in today has made learning somehow accessible because of the information that we find on the internet. I would like to hear how this ministry or your online ministry has blessed you in the first place and also has blessed others.
Well, let me start off with how the ministry has been a blessing to me. Well, it has been a real blessing to me because it has kept me consistent. It has kept me studying the lesson every single week in preparation for the video. It has also helped me to study more, to be more invested in my relationship with God. It has been a blessing to others as well because very often as I travel around, I'm surprised by the stories that I hear. It's not always something that I expect, but you're kind of taken aback. I didn't know so many people were watching. So I meet people very often who tell me how they use the lesson study. So a few of those people I've met is one who says, well, I use it, I'm a Sabbath school teacher, so I use it before I go and teach my class, go through the video, and it kind of helps that person to concretize the lesson for that particular week. So that's one story that I heard. Then I also had another interesting encounter with somebody, and I can relate to that. Had someone who sent a comment saying he was watching from Brazil and wanted to learn English. So he was using my videos to learn English. So I found that really interesting. And right now I'm trying to learn a language. So I'm also looking for content that's in that language. So it's something that I can relate to. Finally, I also heard from someone who mentioned that the lesson is often very confusing for them, and they don't always get what the author is trying to say. So through the videos that we are producing, they were able to get kind of a more concrete picture of what the author was trying to say. Those are maybe 3 stories that I have gotten as I've interacted with people. There's also a whole lot of others, but for the sake of our time and our viewers, I won't bore you with the whole list of stories.
Wow, those are really amazing stories. Now, if you want to hear more stories like that, then you better keep in touch with Tatenda and ask him to make more videos or to tell you more of the stories. Now, stay with me because we don't have any commercial breaks here. We are going directly to the next question. Now, here it goes. What are the challenges, or what challenges have you encountered since you started this online ministry?
What challenges have I encountered? Well, all the challenges, maybe it's one basic challenge that I've encountered, which is the funding. You don't always have the money for everything that I'd like to do. Sometimes you've got a vision that's bigger than your pocket for the things you'd like to do and what you can actually do. That's probably challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is staying consistent. Sometimes you've got bad reception, you travel, you're not always able to post. Those problems come in. And there was one time when I almost gave up on the entire ministry, because the time my laptop broke down, it wasn't working, so I couldn't edit the videos. And because of the way things were in our country, I could barely afford to pay for the internet service charges to upload videos every week. So at that point, I was really low and almost felt like giving up. But God came through in a few ways for me, helped me to be able to get an okay laptop to do some of the editing, and well, things also kind of stabilized slightly, which allowed me to be able to pay for the internet that I needed to do the videos. So God has been faithful, and he's been helping us along the way to continue and to be consistent in our uploading of videos.
And yes, those are real challenges that you will encounter in this online ministry, especially if you're starting out. You will have the problem with the budget, and second one is consistency, especially doing it on a weekly basis on top of your work. Tatenda, there are so many viewers of your channel, and most of them probably are not just normal Sabbath school learners, but also Sabbath school teachers. So we would like to take a sneak peek at your study process. How do you study the lesson, and how do you draw out the points that you include in your videos?
My Bible study process is I usually read through the lesson, probably do it a week or 2 weeks in advance, trying to read through the Sabbath school lesson, trying to get what the author is saying, and then go through it probably 2 or 3 times. Then I go through each day, looking at the heading, looking at the questions that are put in to the lesson study. Usually find that those questions, those reflection questions, are usually quite helpful in trying to address what that particular day is all about. Then I also think about some of my personal reflection on the lesson. So it's a combination of those 3 things: looking at the title, looking at the questions, looking at the verses, and then my personal reflection. Although I try to not put too much of my own thoughts and stick to what the author says, but always having a little unique flair in the lesson.
Tatenda, what a pleasure it is to have you here today, and thank you so much for this time that you have granted us, get to know you on this level, and also about your ministry. Now, could you please let my audience know where they can find you and how they can keep in touch with you online?
Well, where I am online, that's three main places. YouTube is where I'm really active and I'm posting videos every week. So really appreciate all those who want to subscribe to the channel and to follow that channel. I'll be eternally grateful to all. The other place I'm really active is Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Machamire. That's my Twitter handle. I'm also on Facebook, Tatenda Machamire. And the ministry also has a page on Facebook. Still needs a bit of work. Also praying that God allows us to have a website soon. So those are the places that we are active. Our YouTube channel is Kukura Media. And the word Kukura, as maybe one parting shot, is a word that simply means to grow. It's a Shona word, which is a language spoken in Zimbabwe, which means to grow. So you can find us YouTube, you can find us on Facebook, and then personally I'm on Twitter as well.
Tatenda, thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, I would like to personally thank all the viewers, and let's grow together. So be sure to check out Tatenda's ministry and subscribe to his YouTube channel, follow his Facebook channel, and if you want to message Tatenda privately, then message him on his Facebook account or follow his Twitter account or message him through Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account, I only have Instagram and also Facebook, but you can also follow me there. So if you like this video, then click the like button and also subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. So I'll see you in the next video.